Good afternoon, everyone. I know you've just had lunch, but that's just okay. I know how that feels. And I know we are scheduled to be here until 4 o'clock, and we are going to try to honor that. You've heard my name. My name is Shawn Turnquest. You were told that I have been an educator for 33 years. Well, that sort of robs me of almost 10 years. I've really been an educator for 42 years. I will always be a teacher. I'm a mother, a grandmother, and I am also redeemed. So I take almost an evangelical approach to education and schooling. And I hope, like me, you see your job as educators as a modern-day commission to the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to rescue and save and bring hope to the young people in our country. I always say that, I guess next to doctors, in terms of importance, they are teachers. Because while doctors physically save lives, we really make sure that the spirit, the heart, the hopes, and the dreams of young people stay alive, don't we? And I also hope that you realize that a part of your purpose established by God is to be here as an educator, as an administrator. You are the captain of your ship, your institution, your school. And I know educators sometimes ask themselves, why am I here? This job is hard, the kids are tough, the parents are ungrateful. Whoever felt like that? You know, this is hard work, they don't pay us enough for this. And there isn't a teacher alive who hasn't felt that way. I certainly have. And then I think of the story of Esther in the Bible. And when her people, the Jews, stood to be totally annihilated, her cousin Mordecai prevailed upon her to try and save them, their people, her people, the Jews. And she initially resisted, and she said, my husband, the king, doesn't even know I am a Jew. How can I now go to him and say, I am a Jew? One of your courtiers is planning on slaying the Jews, genocide. Please save my people. As a matter of fact, she continued, I cannot even go to him unless welcomed by him or requested by him. But he continued to press her. And he said to her, who knows, but you have been placed here for such a time as this. So educators, fellow educators, administrators, I want you to repeat after me. I have been placed here for such a time as this. And I really do believe that. Even myself, I retired after 42 years. I don't know if you could even imagine what that feels like. Because being an educator, your job was a 9 to 5. You had to get to school well before 8, or certainly by 8, and sometimes 7, 8 o'clock, you're still there. And so finally, retirement came. And then, through, I call it, spiritual acts, predestined acts, I found myself back in education. And I said, Lord, you know I will always answer your call. Even though I was looking to slowing it down, I know you were with me. So I too believe that I've been placed here for such a time as this. And so I ask you to consider yourself this mission. This is your commission. The commissioner said earlier, know your why. You are here to bring hope, to teach, to guide, to prepare, and I hope that you embrace it with all your might, because you have been placed here for such a time as this. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to quickly go through the PowerPoint. Now, 4DX, as you heard from Mrs. Poitier, is used throughout the world. But because we were presenting it here, we wanted to do something special just for you. So we Bahamianized it. We put our own little Bahamian spin on it. So you're going to see where some of the disciplines and the principles have been put into Bahamianese, just for fun, for some levity, because I fully expect that you are all using standard English in the classroom and around your school. But we're going to have a little fun today. Is that okay? Okay, perfect. So the title of our presentation is No More Talking, Let's Do It, 4DX in Action in the Bahamas. And our first testimonial, first slide, I'd like you to read that together, please. .4DX does work, and that's a testimonial from someone who has used it for years. 4DX is the program that's going to ensure that all your needs are met, all of your major goals and hopes for your school are met, and Alexia Savusis is testifying to that. Now we have another testimonial from one of our very own. I'd like you to read that out loud as well. This is from Tamika Adderley, principal of Yellow Elder Primary. I think she's here this afternoon. So let's read that one aloud. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. 4DX. It means 4 disciplines of execution. Just 4 steps that you need to take that are easy to take when executing a goal or a plan. So there's your framework. Every good program or model starts with a framework. There are your 4 disciplines. Discipline number 1 is focus on the wildly important goal. And I have seen your goals up in many of the schools that I visited. That you have down pat, you know that well. Discipline 2, act on lead measures. We will get into that, which is take key steps. The 3rd discipline, keep a compelling scoreboard. And then finally, create a cadence of accountability. 4 disciplines of execution. 4 simple, easy steps that keep you disciplined. And discipline really is key. I'd like to share this quote with you. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. We know that. We have a goal. We can have that and long for that and wish for that as much as we like. Without the discipline to actually put in the work to accomplish the steps, then chances are you will not accomplish your goal. So moving on from the 4DX pyramid framework, we want to look at discipline 1. And I think we can move fairly quickly through discipline 1 because from my vantage point, as I visited your schools, I saw where you mastered discipline 1 very well. But just to recap, student goals, there are some student goals that can be expressed as WIGs. Let's first look at some of these goals. Let's say if a student says, I want to increase my GPA from 2.1 to 2.7. That's a goal. That can be expressed as a WIG. Or I want to get 90% or higher on my next social studies unit test. That's a goal. I want to attain 5 A and B passes on the BJC examinations. I want to improve on my 50% maths final by attaining no less than 70%. They're all goals. They're not yet WIGs. And so to Bahamianize that, the next slide says, the WIG is, next slide, the goal we are going to lock in on and carry to the finish line. So that's what it is. You're going to fix your attention on the goal, and you're going to keep a steely vision or view of that goal until you achieve it. And so we have little Johnny here rushing to the finish line as one of our students. And then next, another interpretation using a Bahamianism. If you try to do everything, you're going to end up doing nothing well. Well, we know that, right? We always try, and then all of a sudden, everything is half done. So we are going to determine what our WIGs are, or WIG is. We're going to step out of that whirlwind, which all educators live in almost every day. There's always something happening around you. Something has always gone wrong. And we are going to focus on our WIG. And another Bahamianism, the next slide, we can't catch every crab in the bush. Focus on the one that will feed your class. Okay? All right. So there are also school goals that should be expressed as WIGs. And here are some of your school goals. Some of these are actual goals that have been placed in your school improvement plans. To improve student reading comprehension ability, that is a school goal. To increase the number of students obtaining A to C passes in mathematics and language arts in the BJC examination. To improve application skills in mathematics, and to improve the BGCSE accounts pass. These are all school goals. They're not yet WIGs. So we need to look at writing these goals as proper WIGs. So goals are most useful when written in specific, realistic terms. So where you are now, so the goal is from X to Y by when? To improve our reading scores from 50% to 60% by June. From X to Y by when? Okay, an example up there, I will improve the maths rate pass from 40% to 50% by June. And the when should be far enough out to have time to meet the goal, yet close enough to keep it the main focus. You don't want to say by 2030, okay? So that's important. Discipline 2. Discipline 2 simply means you have to identify the strategies for achieving your WIG. And that sometimes, this is actually where 4DX sometimes stops in our schools. After discipline 1, we write the WIG, and the WIG is a good WIG. It looks good, it sounds good, it's meaningful, but then there seems to be a drop-off for discipline 2, 3, and 4. So here you have discipline 2. So you want to achieve a WIG. You don't just write it. You think of what it is you are going to do to achieve that WIG. What are some of the key things you are going to do to achieve that WIG? If you've decided that you're going to, I don't know, declutter your desk or declutter your house, or you will say, maybe I'll do one drawer every other day, or one cupboard twice, or two cupboards a week. Or if you have a goal of losing some pounds, you might want to say, I want to lose 10 pounds from now until, Christmas. And so you determine what your lead measures are. What are you going to do? From X to Y by when is your goal, your lead measures, how will you achieve that goal? So you might say, okay, I'm going to walk 10,000 steps. and I'm going to give up rice or potato salad. Well, it's no different when you are trying to achieve an academic goal. What is it that you want to achieve, and how are you going to do it? So if you want to increase math scores by 20% by June, you might want to say, okay, here's what we'll do. I will meet with the head of math. Every week, we will give a test that covers that week's work or the previous week's work. So you might want to test more often. Or you might say that we are going to give an extra homework assignment. Or you can say, I will have early bird classes or lunchtime classes. Or you might say, I am now going to call in parents and have a parents' evening. So there are so many strategies that you can use. You may want to start a peer tutoring program with your math students. So you do need to come up with strategies. Shawn Covey calls them lead measures, so we have to call them lead measures, but they are simply strategies. All right? So you have your WIG. Discipline 1, you get your WIG. Discipline 2, what do? Strategies. Right. And so you can't have a lot of strategies. You really should only choose 2 or at maximum 3. So that's very, very important. So looking at saying this in our Bahamian lingo, let's look at the slide that says, move on the thing that can bring results. Whatever it is that's going to bring results, that's what you're going to focus on. Or we can say, it isn't just about the final report card grade. What little things are you doing to reach that goal? So often all we do is we focus on that end grade. And for children, it is so demoralizing. Just that end grade, that report card grade. And by the time you get that report card, it's too late, isn't it? It's too late. It's already a part of their permanent record. And so what you need to do is put things in place so that that report card grade is better, and while you have time to do that. And here's another saying, you can't fatten the pig by weighing it. It's what you feed it daily that matters. And that probably says it all. I think that says it all very well. Okay? We just look at these final results, final scores. By that time, as I said, it is too late. What are we doing every day, every week, to impact the final scores? So now, you've already learned disciplines 1 and 2. Discipline 1 is, what's discipline 1? Focus on the wildly important goal. Write your wildly important goal. And you will determine what your goal is based on some of the challenges that you see that you need to improve. The challenges could be academic, they could be behavioral. There are any number of things you might want to improve. So your first step, write that WIG. Put it up. Make sure if it's a class-wide WIG, if it's just for your class, your social studies class or your math class, that should be up in your classroom. If it's a school-wide WIG, it should be up somewhere, maybe on a bulletin board outside that's covered, protected, so students, parents, teachers, everyone could be reminded of that WIG. And you also need to plot and graph your WIGs or your strategies, your lead measures, and your lag measures. So, for instance, if you have as a goal to raise or increase your reading scores, one of your lead measures could be, this slide will show you, one of the things you would do, your lead measures, number of minutes reading with teachers. So you might want to say, I will read for 15 minutes with each child twice a week, 3 times a week, just you and the child. And the lag measure, which would be your final score or your score, what are the final reading scores? So you need to plot your lead measures, how faithfully you are accomplishing your lead measures, and we will look at those a little later. And you also need to have a look at your lag measures as you move forward. Or another goal might be to improve attendance. And the lead measure would be daily attendance checks. So so you are checking every day. You might say to your teachers, by 9:30 every day, I need to have all the names of the students who are late, and myself and the counselor and the senior mistress and guidance counselor, we are going to get on it. We're going to start making calls. And you present one of your lag measures would be whatever the final thing is that you are measuring, it would be your final monthly attendance reports. Or one goal could be improve the BGCSE passing rate. And your lead measure, one of your lead measures could just be to do a certain number of practice paper sessions. And you might want to say to have 2 practice paper sessions a week. And so you need to be able to track those 2 sessions, and you will know how well you've done by looking at your lag measure, which is your final BGCSE results. Okay, now we go on to discipline 3, which is keeping a compelling scoreboard. So you have discipline 1, which is, what is discipline 1? Yes, writing your WIG, focusing on your wildly important goal. What's discipline 2? What are your lead measures? Yes, coming up with your lead measures. And discipline 3 is keeping a compelling scoreboard. So you create a scoreboard, and effective scoreboards display lead measures and lag measures. Okay, that's really important. Your scoreboard should contain both desired outcomes, and it should be simple, should show progress, should be fun and engaging. And I have a few samples for you to look at. And administrators, I don't want you to think this is extra work for you. Even for teachers, depending on the age of the class, children can also update the scoreboard, particularly when you see what kinds of scoreboards we are talking about. Okay, that's very important. And the scoreboard should be in a visible location and updated often. So again, like your WIG, you can have your WIG at the top of a bulletin board, your scoreboard underneath at the bottom as well, and it should be updated regularly. So, for instance, to express that in Bahamianese, keep the scoreboard where everyone can see it and feel it. That's important. If they can't see how they're doing, they won't feel no pressure to do better. They almost have to see where they are in the process. Now, here we go. Here are some scoreboards. Next slide, please. Next. So here you have a scoreboard showing your lag measures. So your goal as principal, vice principal, your WIG is 90% attendance, okay? Maybe by Christmas or by June. And so you start to chart your attendance. Week 1, 74%. Week 2, 79%. Week 3, week 4, and so on. And there's that 90% line drawn across, and that's what you're aiming for. So this, as simple as something like this tracks your measures, your lag measures, and it's easy, it's visible, easy to read. Now let's look at another scoreboard. This one is another scoreboard showing lag measures, and you see right here, we're just using mangoes. It's similar to, what does it look like? What type of graph? It's a bar graph. That's all it is. And so this is something that you can plot as well. You can use a regular bar chart, And if you do use a regular bar chart, students can do that for you, right? They can just go in and color it in. Okay, now we want to look at something that shows lead measures. Next slide. So, principals, administrators, let's say you determine that in order to increase your GLAT scores in, I don't know, science or language arts, you determine that you will view 4 or more unit tests each week. So you want, and you don't want to just see the grades. You want to see what? You don't just want the list of grades. What do you want to see? The actual work. You want to see the actual scripts. And so you will say to your teachers or your grade head, I'd like to see the tests for the last math unit or whatever it is, the last social studies unit, and you want to see those. So let's say you wanted to see, can you put the slide back up, please? So you want to see 4 or more unit tests each week. So the first week in November, you saw 3. Now you are now measuring lead or lag measures. You are measuring lead, your strategy. So if your strategy is to see 4 manuscripts, tests a week, that's part of your lead measures. Go back to the other slide, please. So you have, first week you saw 3 out of 4, second week, 3 out of 4, third week, 4 out of 4. Oh, you're doing well there. That was a good week. Maybe no one got suspended, there were no fights, so you were able to get to it. Then in December, 3 out of 4, and so you track what it is you are doing. Likewise, as administrators, you want to ensure that you are out of your office and you are making observations at least 3 days a week. Okay, so here you have, again, November. There are 3 days a week. You accomplish your goal. You get a happy face. The second week, only 2 days. You were able to get out of your office and do those walkabouts. And I mean full walkabouts. Second week, no. Third week, you made it. Fourth week, that was a terrible week. You only got out once. But you need to be able to track what it is you are doing. Now, I also think that you have some handouts. Would you have a look at those handouts for me, please? I think you have 2. There are 2 pages. Okay, there should be a filled-in handout and a blank handout. You have the filled-in one? There's a blank one that you will get now. But look at the filled-in one. Have a look. Look at discipline 3. Do you see the calendar there at discipline 3? That's another way in which you can monitor your lead measures. You just need a regular calendar, and you can post it on the regular calendar. I know as an administrator, I used to keep a blank calendar on the back of my door. And so every time I finished doing whatever my lead measure was, if it was a walkabout, I would put a sticker that indicated I did the walkabout. If it were looking at scripts, I would put a sticker to say that. If I had just accomplished holding a meeting with grade heads, that was another lead measure, and I tracked that as well. And so that's another sample of a scoreboard that can be done. And then if you also look right to the right of that calendar on your sheet, you will see the bar graph that could be used to chart progress, and you can also see the line graph as well. All right? So you really do have to chart your lead measures, and you can do so very simply. It can be something that's very, very simply done. Okay. So we are going to look at that slide now that says, what gets tracked gets done. If you don't pay attention, it will slip from you. You know, many times when I tell myself I need to go on a diet, I go to this place called Outdoor Fitness. How many of you go to Outdoor Fitness? Have you heard of Craig Walking? Right, and he has these challenges. And so, you know, I've tried a couple of those challenges. And I do well when I do what he tells me. One of the things he says is, write down everything you eat. Track what you eat. And when you track what you're doing, you are more inclined to stick to your goal. If you don't track what it is you're doing, you're going to lose sight of your goal. So the same applies to the academics. So now let's recap quickly. What's discipline 1? Write your wig. Discipline 2? Say that again. Act on lead measures, or determine your lead measures and act on them. Discipline 3? Correct. Make sure that you have a compelling scoreboard up. And your teachers can put even a little small scoreboard, like if they have a class, they want that class to improve in comprehension, that scoreboard should be up then. And so every week they will do an average. They will do an average of their students, maybe homework assignment, or maybe a little comprehension test. So the students themselves can say, oh, Ms. Smith, we're getting better at this. Oh, our average went up by 2% or 4%. So you have to keep a compelling scoreboard. Principals, likewise, if you are tracking GPAs, I know some schools aim, their goal is to have a GPA, they want to move from maybe 2.2, an average of 2.2 to 2.6 by, I don't know, December. And so what you will do is you'll start with September's GPA on your scoreboard, and then you maybe want to do a quick average of October, or sometimes GPAs are not done until midterm. You can do that. You can have your starting GPA, your midterm GPA, your final GPA in December, and so on. So as administrators, you too should have your scoreboard visible so they could be seen by all and sundry who enter your classroom. And then finally, we're going to go on to discipline number 4. Discipline number 4 is so easy to do, especially for us. We love to talk, right? So discipline number 4 is just create a cadence of accountability. But it just means talk about what it is you've done. So you need to select an accountability partner who is trustworthy, who is available, who is courageous, who is talented, and you meet at a consistent, designated time called WIG sessions. And these meetings should be short and focused, should report on progress and commitments, and make new commitments. The WIG sessions should celebrate milestones, not just the finish line. So it's just meeting with a colleague or a friend. Next slide, please. And just have your regular check-ins. You want to find out, how did you do? What went well? Did you see any progress this week? What will you do next week? So the regular check-ins, make sure the boat don't drift. You know that. If you don't keep plotting where you are, then sometimes you drift way off in the wrong direction. And then make sure people meet on the regular and say what they're doing or ain't doing. Okay? That's really important. That's all it is. Discipline 4. Have an accountability partner and talk about what it is you are doing. Okay? And now, I want to present you with a case study. I need all ears tuned, all eyes this way. Here's your case study. It's a scenario. It's called Where Everybody Gone? Turning empty desks into full classrooms. Don't you feel like that? Sometimes you look around, school is empty, you say, well, where's everybody? At Coconut Grove Secondary School, the classrooms are looking emptier than Potter's Key on Monday morning. On paper, the school has over 650 students enrolled. But the reality, well, that's another thing. On an average day, only 73% of students are present. Some students have already missed more than 15 days this term. Teachers spend half their energy reteaching yesterday's work for those who were absent. You know how that feels, right? And the students who were present saying, but miss, we did this yesterday. The impact is clear, and here's the impact. On an average day, only 73 students, or 73% of the student population is present. The core subject pass rates, especially math, English, and biology, are all taking a hit. They're sliding. Students are falling so far behind, even the smart ones are starting to struggle. Parent meetings are turning into, where was your child, instead of how can we help them excel? So the ministry calls you're the principal or vice principal, and says, you need to get those students in their seats, or the grades and school's reputation will suffer, will sink. She decides to steer the ship using the Bahamianized 4DX model. So, you are Mrs. Roberts. You are the principal or vice principal. You got that call from the ministry, and there's your situation. Can you put the scenario back up, please? I would like you to talk with the person next to you. Use your blank 4DX sheet and come up with your Bahamianized 4DX program, which means I'm simply saying you come up with your 4DX program. I know that you will not be able to do your bar charts or your graph, but I certainly would like to hear your D1, Discipline 1, which is what? What is D1? I want to see your D2s, which is what? Lead measures, lead and like, and discipline 4 will be what? Cadence of accountability, all right? And then I want you to just think about the kind of scoreboard you could create for that scenario, okay? And I am going to give you, we're out of time, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, may I have your attention, please? Thank you. So wherever you are, that's where we are going to stop with respect to filling this in. But I do want at least one of you to share what your initial thinking was or your ideas are with respect to 4DX. Can one of you just stand? I can send the mic down there and just share. I want to hear your goal, what your lead measures are, if you had an idea for a scoreboard and your accountability partner.
There's one. Anybody interested? Just please quickly share your thoughts. Quick, time is running out. Ms. Rutherford?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So what we discussed was for our first discipline to improve student attendance from 73% to 78% by June of 2026. So we had different strategies that we would implement. We didn't get too far with them, but we have that we would view student attendance on registers by 9:30 on a daily basis. We will hold meetings with guidance counselors, administrators, as well as attendance officers with regards to student attendance. Also, we would we would collect information with regards to grade levels, various grade levels, and we would hold ourselves accountable with reaching out to parents to ensure that we are able to get a good handle on why our students aren't coming to school.
Well done. Thank you all very much for participating. I'll let Ms. Turnquest wrap up so we don't keep you all here too long.
Okay, in wrapping up, just a very, very quick idea of the kind of script you can have with your team. Welcome team, that's the leader. Let's quickly review our WIG. Our goal is to improve homework submission to 95% weekly. Let's go back a few slides, please. The scorekeeper says last week we were at 88%. We improved by 3%. Team member one might say, well, my commitment was to call parents of students missing homework. I reached 7 of the 10. This week I'll complete all 10. Team member two could say, I added homework reminders in Google Classroom. This week I'll try peer checks in class, and the leader says, great effort. Let's keep the momentum. See you next Monday. It's as short as that. Okay, moving right along. You should meet once a week, short, sweet, accountable, who did what and what's next. And then, school improvement goals are more easily achieved when converted into WIGs. Ladies and gentlemen, administrators, we hope that you never lose sight of the fact that your job, my job, is to prepare students to keep hope alive, to keep their dreams afloat. We want to make sure that we meet their needs, that we go the extra mile, that we fill in the gaps. Our goal is not just to teach, we must execute. We must be there for them. We have to move the dial. I was speaking to the minister earlier this morning, and she said, we really need to move the dial. And so, administrators, that is your challenge, to move the dial, to make things happen, to improve the lot of students, to ensure that they are readers and writers and thinkers, and that they can count and do necessary calculations. We are tired of the narrative that we are a de-educational system. We know we are not. So we are counting on you to implement 4DX, to embrace it. It will get you there if you embrace it, if it is used properly. It is a system that works. So let's not just teach. We must execute. Every child deserves our best follow-through. Okay? Final slide. I want to remind you of this final slide, and it reads, what gets measured, what gets monitored, gets done. Can we read that together, please? What gets monitored, gets done. If you leave it alone, if you do nothing, if you do not measure, if you do not monitor, if there's no accountability in your schools, nothing will get done, and your students will not improve. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for listening. Thank you for your time. God bless you, and I wish you a great, great school year. I think we have a minute for questions. Are there any questions? Any questions? If not, we will move on. There's one question.
Where's her?
Is that a question?
She was talking. She was waving. She was waving at someone.
Ms. Boykin?
Miss Poitier. Oh, speak in the mic. The question in the mic.
Okay, we have 2 trivia questions. The winner gets a prize.
Don't forget, we have an overflow room now. So bring one of them questions over there.
Okay, Miss. First trivia question. It's so easy. Can anyone say what year we started 4DX in the public school system, and who was the Ministry of Education officer responsible for supervision? Anybody? Let's go. You got it?
Yulee Spanaby. No. That would have been
Spanaby, and it was
2013. 2012.
All of us contributed. Only one prize. Okay, the answer is it was introduced in 2012, and the officer responsible was Mrs. Yulee Spanaby, Deputy Director at the time. You want to come and select the prize, please? We have one more question, Miss. Yeah, she wants us to bring that one in the next room. Would they be able? Can they see us? Okay, for the overflow room, we need someone who is able to name the 4 disciplines and explain each one. The 4 disciplines and explain each one. Ms. Curry, can you please send the winner to the main meeting room? I should have done a call. Okay, you are wrapping up while we wait.
While we wait, what gets measured, what gets monitored, gets done. Mrs. Turnquest and Mrs. Poitier, thank you for reminding us so simply and so practically, for some how to implement, and for others how to continue and crystallize the 4DX strategy for success. Again, thank you, and we will be applying, because what gets measured, what gets monitored, gets done. To our learned colleagues, on behalf of the Ministry of Education and Technical and Vocational Training, thank you for attending this session, and thank you for staying until the last nail knocked. Give yourselves a round of applause. Now, I don't know.